All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. So, last night was a mixed bag of emotions, wouldn't you say? All right, you ready?
Yep. Sorry, let's fix my headset. Yeah, that second half of the game was very disappointing and embarrassing.
Yeah, they
Sorry, let's fix my headset.
they started out again very strong. They had a lot of jump.
That Matthias Janmark goal.
Like they started out the same way that they did against the Pittsburgh game. So they came in, they set the tone right off the bat, and then they had Janmark come right in, again score on his first shot of the game, first goal of the game, and then it just looked like it was going uphill from there. And then you get halfway through the second period. Again, they come out strong. They say they play up tempo. I mean, they didn't even let that first goal against them, against the Stars, phase them, which I thought was a great sign. Like they weren't gonna just get let in. It wasn't even like that much of an easy goal. They just gave up the tying goal, but then they still had the jump. They still had the tenacity to go after the puck. They didn't just let Colorado come at them and walk all over them after the first goal that they gave up, which was a great sign. But then you get that bonehead penalty on Niemi, and then it just all fell apart, just like it did last season. It just took one mistake to set the ship on the wrong path.
Oh yeah.
And
Like I told you last night, as soon as I saw him do that, I was like, oh, here we go.
I mean, it was vintage Stars from last season. They would come out jumping, and then they have one mistake, and then they just don't know how to react from it.
Yeah, they looked like they just couldn't get set for the rest of the time that they were playing. Just running around, not setting up the breakout like they should.
So at the 13:23 mark of the second period is when Niemi got his penalty. And then they score on that, and then 4 minutes later you get the bench minor of too many men on the ice, which I felt I didn't even notice it, and they didn't even give a replay of it, because at first I thought it was a slashing call on against someone on the ice against Duchesne, because he had just gotten the stick knocked out of his hand.
Yeah.
But then they say it's a too many men on the ice, and they give no replays, so I didn't even get to see how that play even started.
Yeah, and then that just leaving Eric Johnson all alone with that give and go. Can't do that with him.
No, you can't. And so let's go back to the first period and what you saw with how the game started out. How did you feel the game started?
Well, hell, when the game started out, with Matthias Janmark scoring his goal, I figured, oh, it's going to be just like last game. And then they had a little breakdown with McKinnon. But, I mean, the kid's just too good to be one-on-one with Niemi, so I figured he was going to score.
Yeah, you didn't I mean, you couldn't expect Dallas to get another 3-0 shutout. I mean, against Colorado, that's the thing about Dallas and Colorado these days. The last 7 games going into Colorado, they are 0-7-0. They have it in most of the games that we saw last year. Dallas wasn't even in the conversation with the games.
Jesus.
Like it last season, it seemed like they just didn't even show up to Colorado whenever they went out there. And the big concern that I have from watching that game is that Dallas was out hit 17-6, or what was considered hits and what got registered. That's the thing about Dallas, is that we have all talent and hardly any grit. And you saw how that happened in the first period with Nichushkin getting knocked off the puck like he did, or getting knocked down like he did.
Don't even get me started on Nichushkin this season.
It's one of those things. It's like, yes, this is the new NHL, and it's not all about like knuckle cracking and just brawling and everything like that. But still, if you don't have grit and you don't have big players, then you are just going to get knocked around. And then that's, I feel, in the third period is whenever Colorado truly knew Dallas's weakness. And what Dallas's weakness is that they don't have the muscle. Yes, they have Roussel and they have Moen. After that, you don't have anybody else besides Ben. And Ben, you can't rely again on Ben to do all the hitting and all the fighting.
Very true.
That's just the concern that I have about this team.
And another thing that I've been noticing is Seguin. He's getting a lot of shots and a lot of opportunities, but it seems like every time it's like a 3-to-1 bad shot ratio. Especially last night, he kept shooting straight into the chest.
Yeah, whenever in the game thread on Reddit last night, I actually saw a bunch of people commenting on how they feel Seguin's shot has gotten a little weird. Like it's kind of like how when a quarterback goes and tries to mess with the mechanics of his throwing, it seems like maybe Seguin tried to go and work on his shot a little bit, and I personally didn't really see anything like that. I still think he's always had that weird, like, cock to his windup. Like if you never notice, like whenever he winds up, he does a little sideways like pull up, and then he lets it go. I think it's to get a little more power on his shots. It's almost kind of like a sidearm pitcher in the MLB. But let's see, what else did I notice about the first period? Okay, so they go up 1-0 very early, and then they give up a goal. Let me see, how fast was that goal? Like, they give up a goal 9 minutes later, but then they answer right away with Cody Eakin's goal, which I thought was a superb effort on what they wanted to establish with pressure and forecheck.
Yeah.
I feel the Stars in Game 1 and half of the game of Game 2, they established forecheck. They established pressure. And then once that power play goal went in, they started to back off. It just seemed like they got scared, and they wanted to feel Colorado out. Because, and that's the thing, you can't expect this Colorado team to just lay down and think that they're just gonna stop playing, because Patrick Waugh is not going to let that happen. I mean, you see it all over highlights and everything like that. Patrick Waugh is a passionate man, and he's going to get his word out to the team. Granted, I watched like highlights of the Minnesota Colorado game, and from what I saw, Minnesota just started buckling down and then started applying more pressure to Colorado, because Colorado is just, I'd say, just like Dallas, except they have a little more physicality to them. They have a bunch of speed. They have two lines that can really hurt you. But the thing is that Dallas let their fourth line take over the game with Mitchell, McLeod, and the other guy. I can't really remember what his name is.
Skilly.
Yeah, Skilly. They let them, because in the third period, you saw them just skating their living balls off. Like, I hadn't seen much out of Mitchell and Skilly, but those guys were just like what the Pitbull line last year of Dallas with Eakin, Roussel, and Garbutt were for Dallas. Now, let me see. I made... What notes did I make? So what did you feel... How did you feel about the defense that that Dallas rolled out last night? Again, I think next game...
The defense... I feel like I didn't really even see Jokipaka that much.
Well, to be honest with you...
I feel like he wasn't even in the game.
Well, yeah. To be honest with you, I feel as if he's going to be the first defenseman to get subbed out. I would not be surprised.
Oh, yeah. It seems like Jordy Ben has been turning around his game, not a lot, but little by little. He's doing better and better, but he's still making little stuff.
He does seem to be the better of the pair, which I was actually really surprised with how he played in game one. Granted, I mean, they're their third pair of defense, which means that they're the weakest pair. But I was still more surprised with Jordy Ben than I was with Jokipaka. So that's why I'm thinking, with Edmonton coming in Tuesday, I feel as if you'll see Nemeth, not Alexiak, because if you can't put out Alexiak with Edmonton, because they have too many skilled, fast players, and they will just dance all over Alexiak. So that's why you bring in Nemeth. He's a little more physical. He's a little more agile than Alexiak. Alexiak, you need to bring in for a team like LA or Boston. You know, someone that's going to really try to throw the body around. Someone that can really just stand in front of the net, because you're going to have those guys that are famous for standing in front of the net and setting up screens. So now to one of the bigger storylines from the game is Niemi. How did you feel he started the game, and what did you feel whenever the game ended?
I mean, I still feel mine is probably like 2 goals that he still did really good. A couple of those goals just couldn't be helped.
Yeah. Well, yeah, his the defense really held him out to dry, especially on the Mitchell goal. I don't blame him for. And
The Iginla goal, I don't blame him for either, because you got to block off that path
yeah,
in the net.
because you got Demers and who was it? Patrick Sharp. Was it Demers and Sharp that was in? No. Sharp's not on the PK. I think no, it was Cody Eakin. It was Cody Eakin and Demers that just let him just skate right to the front without any sticks in the lane, without no pressure on him. So those two goals are understandable to give up. You know, you can't really say, you know, you should have stopped him, even though you would have liked to have stopped him. But you know, some goals were bad, but you can't expect Niemi to get a shutout every night. So, I mean, he started out really strong. Pucks were hitting him. It seemed like he was just going to have another one of those nights to where everything was just going to hit him, like in the Pittsburgh game. Granted, it didn't really go that way for the second half of the game.
God damn it, Duchesne, get out of the way.
So what'd you think of? I know you didn't like him taking the penalty, but how many of those do you think Kari Lehtinen has gotten? I think I might have counted maybe 3 or 4 times that since Kari's been here that he's done a play like that where he just puts too much air on the puck. Granted, I think the puck was rolling, but still, like you have to. The goaltender has to be a little more conscious of keeping that puck in play, because that just took so much momentum away from the Stars. They didn't seem defeated.
Oh, come on!
They didn't seem defeated, but you could tell that they just couldn't prepare for that. Oh man, my fucking tablet restarted. Alright, so
yeah, I don't know. I do think we'll see Lehtinen though.
You know what? I was actually talking. I was saying yesterday during the Avs game that, well, more than even if Niemi had won this game, you would have seen Kari against Edmonton. I think it was, you can't let Kari sit on the bench for too long. So I feel as if no matter how the outcome of this game would have been, I think you would have found that Kari would have come in against Edmonton. So another thing that I noticed was, again, I didn't notice Patrick Sharp in this game. Did you notice Did you notice Patrick Sharp in this game?
I haven't really noticed him in either of the games.
Well, you kind of noticed him in the Pens game.
Like, just because of that goal that was not allowed, but other than that, I didn't really notice him at all.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that he needs to be more of a figurehead in this lineup. I mean, that's what Dallas brought him in for. And I want to say he's kind of gone into what Hemsky did at the beginning.
Like a slump?
not really a slump, but like those first like 21 games, like you just didn't notice Hemsky like at all. I mean, you would notice Hemsky, but the only time you noticed him was because he was messing up. Now, Sharp wasn't messing up, but I mean, again, you just didn't notice him in the game, which I find disappointing. I mean, it's only two games in, and he has to get used to this to the system and everything like that. But it can't really be all that different than Chicago's system, because Chicago was a run and gun team as well, but they also have stellar defense. What did you think about Oduya?
I feel like he definitely had a slumper of a game.
Yeah, Some of those goals, you could just tell that he just got flat out beat. And I mean, like I said, it's only game 2. It's a small serving size of what we should be looking at.
I just hope Nichushkin gets out of his slump.
You know, that's one thing that I still...
He's acting too much like a 5th round draft pick, not a 1st round draft pick right now.
Yeah, you know, he's a top 20 draft pick. He needs to come in and he needs to set a tone. And then that's what I liked about Ruff, because Lindy Ruff noticed it. He noticed it right away that this guy is playing soft. He's not skating, and so that's why he got moved down. He got moved down to the 3rd and 4th line to try to light some kind of fire under him, and yet he still didn't really have any kind of sizzle. He didn't have any kind of fire, no zip. I mean, it's hard to understand that he would go and not give as much effort as you know that he can give you.
All I'm saying is Nichushkin better start finding his touch before Richie comes back.
Ugh. And that's the thing about last night too. I just felt like our defense was giving up careless turnovers and really just getting outplayed. Come on, Iginla. I'll give you outside shots all day. And you know what? I'm not surprised that Iginla is still in the league, but I'm still surprised that he's able, for his age, to really still contribute the way he has with Colorado. Like, he hasn't given up on playing. And ever since going from Calgary, because he's been with now the Penguins, and he played 2, and now this is his 2nd season with the Avalanche. And I'm surprised that he said, you know what, I'm gonna come back with the Avalanche and not hang him up, because they did not have a great season last year. But I mean, you couldn't tell that whenever they would play the Stars, because they would just eat the Stars' lunch every time. And again, that's the thing about the Stars. First division game, and they get blown out of the water in this game. It didn't seem like it at first, but at the very end, the Stars got outplayed, out-hustled, and blown out
Who
of
are
the
you
water.
passing to?
So, and that sets up the concern that Dallas had last year. They had a terrible division record. I think they were one of the worst teams in the NHL when playing against their own division. They were like 8-14 and like 7. You can't do that in the Central Division. You have to have a better record in your own division if you want to make the playoffs. Because you know what? This is the strongest division in hockey, and it shows.
Oh, yeah.
Because I
It's like they
guarantee
were saying last night, about 5 of the 8 playoff teams usually come from the Central Division.
exactly. So if the Stars have any hopes in transferring success over into this season, it has to be against teams in your own division. And granted, I mean, look, Colorado fans will disagree because, because they're Colorado fans. But Dallas is a team that should beat Colorado. They have.
Where's the player over there?
I mean, I don't know. Colorado is a tricky team because they are set up just like the Stars. They have good offense. They have a great goaltender. Varlamov, I feel, is one of the underrated goalies in the league. And it shows every time he plays against Dallas. Oh. He sets up. He goes. Oh, come on, Nuke. Just like in the game. Not strong on your fucking stick. So how'd you feel with what Lindy Ruff said about the game last night? Or did you read what he said last night?
I haven't looked at anything from last night.
Well, Lindy Ruff was quoted saying it was a disappointing game. It was pretty much disgusting how the Stars finished that game. Which it absolutely was. I mean...
Oh, come on!
What positives do you feel you could take from that game?
Keep putting Janmark out on the first line.
So you want his line to start the game?
Yep. Every game. Doesn't matter if they lose, they win. They should just keep doing it because it's working.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I noticed...
For now, it's working.
The thing that I noticed about this game was that line considerably slowed down. Like, as soon as they got that goal, what more did you see out of that line? Besides Roussell's fight with McLeod. I mean, other than, like, the first 10 minutes of the first period, what else did you see from that line? Did you see much?
Dude, I saw hustle out of that line like the entire game.
Yeah, but you didn't,
I did.
You might have seen hustle, but you didn't see a lot of possession from that line. A lot of that team was played.
You didn't see possession from any of our team in the last half of the game.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't fault that line for that. Hell, Ben wasn't really doing anything that much towards the middle of the second period, but towards the third period, he started actually getting it there to the net.
All right, well, granted, this isn't the outcome that happened in the game last night, but...
I would have liked it to be.
Yeah, I would have liked it too. So, overall, how do you feel about the game? How do you feel about going into next game? And what grade would you give this team? for last night's
I
game?
would have given it I would say a C minus just because the very beginning of the game was really good. But they really need to work on their late game.
Okay. And then how do you expect the game to go against Edmonton?
They keep playing the same way they did. I expect them to lose.
You expect Dallas to lose to Edmonton?
If they play like they played last night, granted Edmonton doesn't have the best record of last season, but they do have at least 6 elite players coming up in the league on that team, and they can punish mistakes really, really easily, just like Colorado can.
Right. Yeah, no.
Edmonton's team play is lackluster right now.
I mean, that's what we saw last year in the late of the season last year, that we underestimated Edmonton in that game, and then they got blown out of the fucking water. So Edmonton is a team that you cannot sleep on, you cannot take for granted, even though they've consistently been one of the not great teams of the past few seasons, but they are a team that you cannot sleep on. So you expect if Dallas comes out and plays the way they did last night, that they'll lose. Do you have a score on that?
I feel it'll still be a close game. With Letton coming in, not having played the last 2 games. I would say if Dallas does come on top, it would be 4-1. And if Edmonton comes out on top, I'm going to say it'll be 5-2.
Okay. I think I would agree with the C- grade with how the game went last night and how it ended. It started out great. I think the way they responded from the goal, it turned into an A from the grade. But when Niemi made that penalty and they got scored on, and then they got the bench minor and they got scored on, you could just tell all the wind came out of their sails and they lost momentum. Now this team has to learn how to battle back from those decisions, because last year they consistently did not battle back from situations like that. So I would agree with C-. The only reason why I don't give it a D is because of the strong start. If they were,
that's the only reason why I didn't either.
Yeah, if they were playing from behind the whole game, then it would have been in the D's. But with a strong start, I think it's a C-. I agree with Lindy Ruff saying it was a disappointing loss when you're up 3-1, more than halfway through the second period. Those are the games that you have to win. And I'm expecting the next game with Edmonton. I expect Kari to come in. I expect Nemeth to be in place of Yoki Paka. I'm going to say I expect Dallas to be on top, but I'm going to go with a score of I'm going to say 4-2 if Dallas wins. And if Edmonton wins, I'm going to say it's 5-4, and it'll turn into a shootout towards the end of the game. So yeah, there's the discussion of game 2 of the 2015-2016 season. Stay tuned for